You are now listening to the Two Shots Podcast, a part of the Shotgun Sports Network, with your host, Gary Fitzgerald. We are bringing you interviews from around the shotgun game and covering the sport from a different perspective, behind the scenes, beyond the shoot. And before you hear it at the club, you will hear it here first. If you want candid, unedited, unhinged, and truthful interviews, you are in the right place. Visit us online at twoshotspod.com and check us out on social media.
Hey everybody, we're here at Two Shots Podcast, the second installment of this train wreck of a podcast. We have David and Miriam Niederer from Fossil Pointe in Decatur, Texas. David actually is going to talk. Miriam's sitting back there and having her tea and just kind of listening and judging, but we're used to that. So anyway, David, how are you?
I'm doing all right. We flew in this morning, came to visit some friends of ours, and then decided to come and try to bring some legitimacy to your podcast.
Well, we failed at that already. But what is it you actually do, David? You run, you are co-owner. Half of it's hers when she finally divorces you, but it's Fossil Pointe in Decatur, Texas.
That's right. Yeah, Decatur, Texas. And it's the North Texas area for those who don't know. Miriam and I own the business, and we've been open for nearly 14 years now, opened in 2008.
All right. And do you pronounce the E in the last of that, or do you is that a misspelling? You just want to...
E is silent.
E is silent.
But it's the fancy way of spelling.
All right. Kind of like P in swimming. So anyway, but why the hell did you open a gun club?
Kind of by accident, really.
Yeah, okay.
Totally unintentional, in hindsight, a bad idea. It was one of those things that the property that we're on, we've had for quite a while in the family. We've had it for about 30 years, and it was a place where we had our own trap machines. We had our own little setup, and we would shoot and practice. As teenagers, my brother and I, cousins, and then we'd invite friends, and it kind of got to be a place where we would just go in and train. And then from that, our friends would bring their friends, and it kind of got around that. We have some trap machines and we have a place to shoot, and it just kind of grew from there a little bit more organically than just saying, hey, we're opening a gun club. And so after I graduated college, we had a opportunity at the time to say, hey, maybe we can make a go of this and just at least be open on the weekends, make a little side money here and there, and that's how we started, just on the weekends, and then just grew.
It just sounds a similar story. You came in there with hopes, dreams, aspirations, and thought you could do some good, but now you're just left with a gun club and scarred for life.
A bunch of gray hair, yeah.
What? So when you started 14 years ago, and that'd be 2003, 2007. My math's shitty. I'm not Asian.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we were shooting out there for 4 or 5 years before that too. It was just bare land. There really wasn't much cut out. No courses really made. More like a FETAS setup or practice grid.
That's kind of what we started here. We always had traps and stuff like that, and we obviously, people that love FETAS, you parkour is easier to set up than a course, but that's kind of where your first love was, and you pushed it, and then you had this brilliant idea to go into the entertainment industry for folks. But in that 14 years, you guys, I remember when you first started, and we came down to what year did you have the regional?
We had our regional in 2015. Before that, we had the state shoot 2014. We hosted multiple Target Line Cups, 2009, 2010, 11. Hosted several others like Midwest Championships, and
I remember that one.
Some different bigger events.
So Obviously, you mentioned target line. Of course, target lines, doxology, or so to speak, has always been challenging targets. Would you say over the last 14 years, you've stayed onto a more of a tournament level or harder level of target difficulty?
Yes and no. For our general public shooters, we've definitely kind of come away from that. That was how we really started. When I first opened Fossil Point, I had it with the idea of we were going to have it like a training center, kind of like what you have here at FLC, where it's a place for people to come and get good targets and really kind of learn the game and train and get better. And that's how we ran it for a long time. And it was fine, but I was beginning to see and hear the frustrations of just our normal Joe shooters that would come out that just didn't want that tournament level type target, that wanted more of the fun, social, I'm going to bring my buddies out kind of courses.
I mean, that's kind of what we're getting here. This coming weekend, we've got a green shoot. Brett started doing the green shoots, which is easier targets. My biggest issue is whether I'm going to be able to set green. And you probably struggle with this too, because you and I have set a few shoots together. You're like, man, this would be really cool if we did that there.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you almost feel like you just didn't do what you were supposed to do.
Without a doubt, whenever I try to set an easy course, it always starts off with easy targets. And by the time I get to station 12, I'm throwing some burners and some far targets, and you just start to get over the top of some of the stuff, but you have to bring it back down, And honestly, it's harder to set easy courses than it is to set hard courses.
It is. It's to a point. It is. There's challenging, there's hard, and there's easy. I think what you and I do a lot of times, because we both shot, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, David Niederer was a shooter at one time.
Years ago.
If you go to the Diamond Classic, he has a banner. And it's on the front. What year was that, David?
That was 2006. The last time I actually did anything.
You had that there. But what's really great is your number is still up in the men's restroom.
Yeah,
so
great.
That's a good thing.
Haven't been getting many calls. That's good.
Well, you're not in demand anymore. But anyway, but yeah, that's always the tough part is you're out there, you're setting a course, and because you are a shooter, which I don't know, David, is there anybody? People get into the target business game or whatever, setting targets. There are guys that got into it that aren't shooters, but damn, man, I can't imagine getting into this, dealing with, let's be honest with you. That's what we're talking about here. Dealing with the day in and day out bullshit that you don't love this shit.
I will say it's definitely easier setting targets if you are a shooter, if you've shot. And not only just your local club shooter, but if you've traveled to other clubs, experienced different types of presentations and styles and terrains, those things definitely help you as a target setter. It's very difficult to come as a non-shooter and be successful setting courses that people enjoy.
And that's the thing is like, you're out there, I'm out there, even Brett's out there, Tommy's out there. If we can keep Tommy focused long enough to get him through a course, but you know how to fuck people over on a set of targets is you put their gun up here, you put their gun, make them go down, go low, bring them off a fast, bring them to a slow, hide the distance. But it's the thing when you beat a guy at 30 yards or less and you catch shit over it, they've heard me bitch about it, but just let me, let me know what you think about it. When you've done your job and you've whooped a guy's ass and you've taken a couple targets off them 30 yards or less, and they come in there and just lambast you not because of what you did. You did your job.
Right.
You're the course setter.
Right.
You challenged them, and then they hammer you just because they didn't pay attention. How like I said, effort of love. How does that make you feel?
Well, you make a good point in that when I'm setting courses, I'm not setting them with the thought of me versus them. And I don't think good target setters are. You hear some local club setters saying, "Oh, I'm really going to mess them up with this one," or I want to make sure that no one shoots a 90. Well, that's putting you, the target setter, against the shooter. And really, what you want to do is set your courses to where you're challenging them, you're testing their skills, but they're beating themselves.
Yeah.
You give them the fair chance. And so when you set courses and you set good courses or good targets, and you know that you're giving them opportunities to break targets, and if they don't have the skill or technique or the methods to shoot the pairs or to run a station or whatever to handle the level of targets you have, and when someone comes to you later and says, "That's not a good course, what were you thinking? These were terrible. I've never shot this low a score before." It's pretty frustrating because you put a lot of effort into it. You know as well as I do, and a lot of shooters don't know this, but to set a week, just a 1 day weekend tournament takes pretty much all week to do it. Preparation,
It takes all week. I start on Monday and I probably end on Thursday.
Right. You want to move stations, you want to move traps, you want to, right now this time of year we're moving stations to account for the sun positions,
right.
And so that's something we have to think about throughout the whole year. And so it's not just Friday afternoon we go set the courses and then Saturday everybody comes. And so it's frustrating when you know that you've set good targets, you've set good courses, and people will gripe and bitch about stuff that's so unimportant, or that you expose their weaknesses as a shooter, and they're not happy about it.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we've gone into is when I'm setting a course, I'm not worried about high. Everybody says, "What do you think the high should be?"
Right.
Honestly, the high is normally more of a wild card than the low. And you and I we set the similar shit. That's why Brett handles us, so Brett hires us. Brett hires us to do a job. I'm more worried about the low. If I can get by with a 47 of a low, that means I gave them every chance to hit half of them. And a guy dicked up on some target, whatever, and he shoots a 47. I'm okay with a 47. Mm-hmm. The other thing I always look for, and maybe I'm crazy on this one, is I watch for overlapping in classes. They didn't just dream up where the average should break on the classes. Now, why this isn't, a measure of every type of course, I still believe that on a properly set course, you shouldn't have overlapping in classes. By that I mean, the guy in A class shouldn't be shooting top double A.
Well, I agree with that, but there's a bigger issue, and that's the NSCA class system that really screws that up. But yes, I mean I agree. I always kind of judge the difficulty of the course based off the high score. If high score is 91, it was solid targets. It was good targets, or
it's a good score. It's a good score.
It's a good score. But you're right. You really judge. You can judge the quality of the course by the low scores. Now you always have the outliers. You have the 26s and the 32s. But if your lowest kind of average score is half 50%. Then it wasn't over the top difficult.
It can't be over the top. I mean, you've always got the guys that come in and bitch and piss and moan because you hurt their egos, and they're like, "Well, that's station 7. I missed 3 of that targets," and I'm like, "Yeah, but on station 2 with that straightaway, you also missed 3 of that 15-yard straightaway. So please tell me your problem."
Right.
But it's always, of course, we go back into it's ego. You've got
what bothers me, and it's not all shooters. There's a lot of guys who've been shooting a long time that know a good course, know good targets when they see them. But there's so many guys that will judge the quality of the course based off of their score.
Off their score.
Their score.
Yeah.
They shot a 68. Therefore, the course was too hard. Therefore, the target sucked. Therefore, I don't like this place.
I hate this place. I'm never coming back. I mean that roast beef sandwich you served me at lunch was medium rare instead of rare, and this was shitty. And you were out there busting your ass, loading, keeping all the traps running. And you only gave me 75 FTASC. Now I didn't shoot the FTASC, but I would have liked to shot 100 FTASC out there. And right. We did have a 50-mile-an-hour south wind, and it blew the fucking targets out the day I decided to shoot that. But you should have known that because, But anyway, it goes back to a little bit of we do have, and I am older than you. I just was informed that you are turning 40 this year. You are older than shit, but I did kind of a little bit of a different spin on what us as growing up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I did grow up in the shooting game. So I was going to shoots, pigeon shoots,
right.
Shit with my father. Anybody who's ever met Senior out there is,
I love that guy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he can be your dad. I'll loan him out to you for a week.
I'll be your brother.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. That's fine. Anyway. So we have had a giant change in the core of who makes up our shooters anymore. Because like when I started, we had a lot of competition guys that came over from pigeons, trap, and shit like that, skeet.
Yeah.
We now have a lot of guys that started in sporting. They've never shot anything else besides sporting. When you're explaining to guys what option money is, then
it's difficult.
It's very fucking difficult.
Yeah, having grown up in it, definitely, you had the learning curve way long ago.
Yeah, you were competitive.
You're in it. You know what's going on. You know the players. You know the routines. I grew up ashamedly as a skeet shooter. I was 14, 15-year-olds shooting competitive skeet. And
hey.
This is the only time ever I'll mention that again publicly. But
and now we've offended the skeet crew, but that's okay.
We're supposed to.
That's fine. That's what this show's about.
They like it.
They like it. They like the abuse.
But since shooting sporting clays, it's definitely changed from the time when I started to now.
Oh my God, horribly so.
From the late '90s, early 2000s, just a local one-day shoot versus your one-day local shoot now, it's a lot different than what it used to be.
And like I said, once again, you and I both were fairly competitive. We like to compete. We like to shoot. We only, as humans, we always fail on. We see things from our own perspective. We try to, and of course, once again, as a club owner, we try to see multiple fucking avenues of this shit. I still have issues with guys entering a tournament with an attitude of a recreational attitude.
Yeah.
Hey, guy. This son of a bitch is a classified event, and you paid money to see who shoots the best. If I'm sorry your feelings got hurt, but guess what? There's no fucking Santa Claus or Easter Bunny either. This is reality.
This topic definitely needs its own hour-long
100%.
Podcast. The issue I have with that topic is that, and I'll just use my club as an example. Last several years, few years, 5, 6 years, whatever, I've always had 200 bird courses and a 50 bird master course for our for everyday shooters, for our tournaments as well. And so, having liking to set good targets for NSCA tournaments, they're tougher than our normal everyday.
They should be
targets. They should be.
It's exactly. Competition.
Exactly. And the complaint, I wouldn't say complaint, but the statements you get a lot of times from shooters is, well, we never get to practice these targets. And okay, I get it. Because clubs all around the country have their NSCA shoot, and then they change the targets for their corporate shoots for the next 3 weeks. in their leagues and that. But I'll have a master course set up, 6 stations, 50 targets for our tournaments. We'll shoot the shoot, and I'll leave those targets set until the next shoot. So those master course targets are set for the next shoot, and they're good targets. They're speed, distance, angle. All the things that people say they need to practice, because that's what you see at the U.S. Open. That's what you see at regionals. And so I'll leave those targets set up. The next month, when we have our next tournament, it's the same targets that we loaded that Sunday that are in the machine, and they're sun faded because no one came to shoot those targets.
Yeah, we've got a hardcore group here that shoot here every day, and it's probably 20 guys. There's a lot of guys that have a recreational membership. You see them 2 or 3 weeks, and there's one. I did build this club. Speaking from this, what I've got here this is a training facility. When Dub and I go out, and G-Dub started shooting more this year, because this is, he wants to shoot clays. He likes to shoot pigeons better. He likes killing things, gambling, and hanging out with.
I think most people do. Most people who have shot pigeons prefer it.
You ought to realize how bland and lifeless clays are. But, whatever. And, I get a lot of hell. I'm most days, and you guys are in Texas, so you've got a fair amount of revenue coming through the course. We do not. We throw around 2 to 3 trailer truckloads of targets a year. Most of the time it's me running this son of a bitch, and I get hell because I got a trap. A couple of traps are dead. Mm-hmm. But yet, the guy that I actually think I could shoot at one time, when Dub and I go out and practice, we go to the parkour and we shoot 75 targets on the parkour. And we might only shoot 3 traps.
Right.
But there's it goes back to, you're kicking us in the nuts for not providing the experience you wanted to have. What did you do to prepare to shoot good? Now, if you're a recreational guy and you don't shoot competitions, then that's fine. But if you're wanting to shoot a certain score, what the fuck did you do to shoot that score?
Right. You and Derek talked a little bit about on the last episode. There's different types of shooters that come to tournaments, that get involved in tournaments. And you have your recreational shooter, the guy who wants to just come and bust some clays because he does it during the week and he heard there's a tournament and he goes, well, that sounds cool. Let's go shoot on Saturday. And he just wants to go with his 3 buddies, and they go have a good time. They go to their favorite place for lunch, and they make a day of it. Then you have your local competition guy, the guy who shoots the local clubs, who does it as his pastime. He kind of likes to compete. He likes to see where he places amongst the better shooters. And then you have your competition shooter. That's the guy who's going to travel. That's the guy who does it because he gets off on competing. He doesn't want the trophy. He wants to see his name at the top of the list.
Correct.
And that's your tournament shooter. Those are the guys, in the end, those are the guys who really get shafted from most clubs.
I agree 100%.
And with the tournaments. And so, it's like, if we're going to have a tournament, let's have a tournament. Why are we giving away 50 prizes? It's because the recreational guy, he finally got first place in the C class and he wants his trophy.
Yeah.
Whereas every other time it was mentioned ever before, he would say, let's take off $5 from the entry fee. So that way you don't have to have awards because nobody wants them. Then the one time he wins his C class 5 stand, he says, where's my trophy?
Well, that's right. That's right.
And so you have these different types of shooters at a tournament, and it's very, very difficult as a range to please and accommodate everybody.
And that's where we end up fucking up on these big scales, these regionals and these U.S. Opens and shit like that, is we're trying to please everybody.
Exactly.
And we end up just with this lukewarm bullshit generic Chinese buffet of events.
Well, I'll say it. Look at the Nationals. Nationals is not a finale tournament. It is a festival.
It is a festival. It's a Ducks Unlimited shoot. I mean, yeah.
There's better shoots throughout the year that I would consider more of a championship tournament than what we call our national tournament.
I agree.
National championship.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, we gauge our success of a shoot by the quantity of people we have come through. Yeah, man, that's cool and all, but the best clubs and the best restaurants have a velvet rope, a waiting list to get in. So
that's true.
We got to get. I mean, in my opinion, this is my opinion. I'm sure that social media and shotgun world will lambaste me on this one.
I hope so.
I sure freaking hope so, and we'll get into that in a little bit. I've had a really good week on people accusing me of harassment and bullying on social media.
Probably true.
Jesus Christ.
Probably true.
I mean, let's be serious.
That's probably also deserved.
I mean, you know what? It's just like everybody's a badass and everybody's a man and all this shit.
Well, hey, let me ask you a question.
Okay, you asked me a question.
Let's not jump off this topic.
Okay.
Why are we going to have a tournament where we're hoping that our recreational shooters are going to come and degrade what the tournament is?
Walmart guarantee. It's the fucking Walmart guarantee that has permeated every aspect of our society.
So I'm a club.
Okay.
And yes, on a tournament, I want as many people as I can have
100%
come to my shoot and pay me money. Okay. But as a shooter, I'm looking at this saying, why am I having to not have a tournament that I want to have because I have to please everybody?
Well, that's where we need to go after this question. After I answer this question, we're going to this one. And that's the problem with it, is the Walmart guarantee of, okay, go back to this Walmart guarantee. So when actually, believe it or not, folks, I went to college and I have multiple degrees.
I don't believe it.
I will. They're in the other room. Actually, they're laying there on that desk. If you want to go get them.
I can buy those off the internet too.
Whatever. So I had a professor tell me probably like my freshman, maybe second freshman year of college, and he was an econ guy, and he walks out. Kind of a cool dude. I got to know the guy pretty good. He was a conspiracy theorist, which actually we owe all our conspiracy theorist friends an apology because a lot of shit is coming through. And we're on Marion, we're all on the same wavelength. So we're okay on conspiracy theories. But anyway.
It's not a conspiracy if it's true.
You're fucking right. Anyway, so he goes, the Walmart guarantee is going to fuck up everything. And I was like, at the time, you're 19 years old, you're pretty much worried about where the next, kegger and whatever is, and do I got enough food for pizza to get me through the week? But this cat looking through the window, you see this motherfucker right here? Anyway, so going back to the Walmart guarantee, is Walmart comes in, money back guarantee, no questions asked. If you don't like your preparation H and it didn't give you the experience you wanted, bring back the half carton and they'll give you some money back. So you're just like, oh, okay, whatever, the guy's a kook. And then we get into business, whether it be in all the shit we do. Thank God most of my stuff, I don't have to deal with the public. But if they are not 100% satisfied with what you give them, they bitch.
Well, I'll say this. At our club, we have more than just shotgun shooting. We have rifle and pistol range. We have long range shooting. And when it comes to safety, the customer is not always right.
No.
And our number one concern at the club is always safety. And number two, it's guest service. We do want our shooters, the people that come, we treat them as guests. We want them to enjoy their experience because this is their disposable income. This is not the grocery store that they have to go to.
This is recreation. This is a want, not a need.
This is disposable entertainment. And so we do want them to come back. We want them to have a good experience. And so, a lot of times we do our best to accommodate whatever needs they have. We listen to their ideas and suggestions and complaints, and there's a lot of times when a complaint is legitimate, that they have a legitimate complaint, and I don't want them to feel like they can't say it. But at the same time, when you're always bending over backwards to accommodate people, all you're going to do is break your back.
Yeah. Brett, when I started this shit, offered me some advice, and Brett said very clearly, he goes, do all you can, but do not make any special favors, because once you do special favors, if another guy doesn't get a special favor, you're going to lose him.
Yeah, that's been a hard lesson learned for me.
Oh, me too. And I think Brandon Leifer or Romberg said it. We redid the kitchen and the pit, so we now have 2 commercial stoves and a commercial griddle and a commercial cooler. And he's like, yeah, you just spent $3,000 to give away free food.
Yeah. And someone's not going to like your food.
Someone's going to like my food. They're going to ruin their whole, Jesus Christ.
Your drinks aren't cold enough.
Drinks aren't cold enough. I got 2 Halise rings, 2 pigeon rings, 75 feet task. We move the course every freaking time. I've got kitchen staff, and I'm serving you good meals. Yeah. You've eaten my food. I cook for Miriam's came up for the Winter Spectacular. Hey, Miriam, December 18th and 19th, Winter Spectacular, FLC. You made my prime rib. But it's just the Walmart guarantee is if you didn't have 100% satisfaction guaranteed, these people aren't happy. That's not right. Once again, like you said, they are guests to your clubs, but once again, they are guests. And the respect needs to go both ways. I
agree. Yeah. There is such thing as a good customer. I've got lots of them. I got guys that support us no matter what. And they always have good suggestions. I'm always willing to hear them, and I want to talk to them, and I want to know what's going on. But you just can't please everybody. And I think in a lot of ways it's getting to the point to where clubs are just going to be, they either one or two things. They either have to go to just strict rules, which I've seen clubs do.
Oh yeah.
Especially member clubs, member clubs kind of get out of hand sometimes. And all of a sudden, they don't get the warm fuzzy feeling anymore like they used to get when they go to the club, because someone's ruined the rules, or, created a situation for the club that now they have to make new rules and, adhere to different guidelines and do this and that. It changes the feeling of the club. So what I like about our club and your club and a lot of other clubs around the country that are family owned or privately owned, you get a feel of what they want to do. You get a feel of what the club is about, how they run things. But sometimes you go to these member run clubs and it's a shit show. Like, you don't know who's in charge and what the direction is and why are they doing this and what's going on with that, and no one knows what's going on.
Yeah, there's no real feel of what direction is. There's no real. Everybody's got a different opinion, and obviously the guys who are the loudest will always overcome the.
Of course.
But and then like I said, you and I both came in this thing from we used to like to shoot. Now you fly and I drink.
Many moons ago.
You found a love of aircraft and I found the love of single malt. But that being said, we came in this from a love of the game, and we really love this game. Jesus Christ, man, I was pre-law and then went to law school, and we have options in our life. This isn't like I failed as a fry cook at Popeye's Chicken, and this is all I've got.
Now go run a gun club.
But
I'll say this: I got involved in the sport as a shooter. That's how my passion came about, same as yours.
Oh yeah.
And that's what's kept me in the game. It's just that passion for shooting and really for competing. I just found out this is what I was good at, and that's what I can compete at, and There's not many barriers of entry. There's a few, but it's something that I've excelled in. But I also, not being able to shoot much, I do enjoy the working side of it. I enjoy traveling to clubs and setting targets and being part of the U.S. Open and being part of the World Championships. I get a lot of pleasure out of that too, among many other things.
That was very awkward. Let me mark that shit for the fucking podcast.
No, we're keeping it.
We're keeping that shit. All right, go with that shit. But I get what you say. I love going to different clubs. I've set several shoots together.
I'll say this. I think as working what we do now as range owners, as target setters, as working for the traveling circus, more or less.
Oh, I love the carnival.
We actually have more success doing this than we ever did as shooters, I feel like.
It's a hollow victory. No matter what you win. First of all, okay, I'll be very blunt on this shit. My favorite statement, of course, I assume we've lost the Puritans. I assume we've lost the junior shooters.
I don't think they were ever here, and I hope they weren't.
I hope they weren't. But and I understand everybody makes everything their heroin, their drug, or whatever, and your drug of choice is apparently competing at this point in your life. But all I have to say is congratulations. You have now mastered a game as Wendell Cherry. This is Wendell Cherry's take on it. And fuck you, Wendell, if you want to own up to this shit. But congratulations, you're good at a sport where 90-something% of the people suck at. And that's and that's Wendell's take on it. My take is congratulations, you have become a known celebrity in a game that can't get you laid.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, you're right. I mean, this is a game that we've got our pros, we've got our people that everybody in the game knows. That's this is their life, and there's a lot of legends in the game that we know. But when you're sitting on an airplane next to somebody, you tell them you're a sporting clay shooter, they go, "Oh, I shoot skeet with my friend in my neighbor's pasture." And that's what they think. That's what they think we do.
I mean, if you have to.
As a matter of fact, that's what Miriam thought that we did when I first told her I was a sporting clay shooter.
She just wanted to go to the pasture with you. But, I mean, and you and I have sat there many times on plane rides in some kind of a store, and you're like, "What do you do?" I shoot sporting clays. Oh, trap.
Yeah.
Nah, man. Yeah. But here's the thing.
Or skeet, and they think you shoot skeet, and
skeet trap.
The skeet is the target they use in the hand thrower. Out over the pond,
shooting them skeets.
Skeets.
So I mean, we all need to take it.
There's not a lot of glory to be had.
Yeah, we need to take. The reality of this is we need to take a step back. And I'm not obviously I had Derek on here, and we'll have a series of guys that do this for a living. I'm not detracting what you do for a living. It's just it's not at the level that we want it to be. And when you have to explain to the person next to you on that Southwest airline flight to Tucson why you're going out there,
it's a foreign thing to many people. It's a
foreign thing. I mean, I assume that there is a midget racing circuit that is probably more popular than what we do. But
yeah, I mean, if you said you're a professional ping pong player, they'd say, "Oh, I watched Forrest Gump," and they know what that is.
Yeah. You say, well, I shoot sporting clays. And they're like, what's that? It's clay targets, and you go into it. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that.
I think that goes back to the discussion of, who are our shooters? Are they competitors? Are we recreational shooters? What is this game that we're shooting?
Yeah, why are we having these tournaments?
And so,
that's the question. Is like,
why are we having these tournaments?
Why are we having these tournaments? And like I said, you and I both have shot. We used to think it was a thing, and we got excited about it. And we put the time into it. But in order, of course, once again, I'll say this again, we gauge the success of a tournament by the numbers of people that attend it.
Right.
I think that's not correct.
That's not correct.
Can't be correct.
I don't think that's should be the deciding factor whether a shoot was a success or a failure.
I don't feel that way.
Many clubs do feel that way. Sometimes I feel that way too, because we
all do.
I'm like, I only had 75 shooters. What the heck?
What did I do wrong?
I needed 140.
Yeah, I mean,
and so I want my numbers to be higher. I think any privately owned club would have that same goal, but taking that aside, and as a shooter perspective, when I go to a shoot and I have to shoot stupid easy targets because the club is convinced that that's the only way they're going to keep their shooters coming, as a top shooter, you get very frustrated with that because you want to go and be challenged. You want to go and be tested on your skill and compete.
Yeah.
And you don't get to do that when clubs are setting targets for, and this is an argument for another time. I don't have enough time right now to talk about when these people.
We'll get all the time you want, David. Shit, this.
You told me it was an hour. I'm ready. I came ready for like 3 hours.
Dude, you're fucking Unabomber over here with your manifesto. And Miriam just like comfied up in that chair. Is like, go ahead, David. I don't give a shit. Go for it,
Well, you mentioned manifesto. Let me get it out. Let me get it out.
I mean, and the biggest problem. So here, let me pick on you. There's 3 people and Tommy and the group text.
Yeah.
Tommy's not a person.
No.
There's you, me, and Brett.
Yeah.
Brett's accepted it. I'm writing a book on it, and you still care. I mean, Jesus Christ, when you come home and you take your pants off and poor Miriam is taking out all the fucking gum wrappers and, use condom wrappers and all the shit that's on the, preparation H pads or whatever those are, tucks on the course. Cause you give a shit. I mean, that's one thing I've learned from working with your dumb ass. You still care.
Well, yes, I'm the middle child. I'm the pleaser. I want people.
Is he a pleaser, Miriam?
Please say yes.
He says yes. And we just lost the Christian contingent. Oh, God, this is going downhill fast.
Well, I'll say it's like Miriam says, we call our shooters, we call them guests. And it's like having a guest in your home. You want them to feel welcome, you want them to feel comfortable, and you want them to come back. And so, you do accommodate, you do bend over backwards, you do your best to make them have a good experience.
You want them to be happy, man.
But it's at the same time, it's wearing. It's wearing when you do that. It's not appreciated. It's not, it's not acknowledged, or it's not good enough for some people.
And that's what hurts you, because, like I said, and I'll go interject on my basic feelings of this shit. When I started, I was very apprehensive. I was very nervous there's a lot of people in this game that's going to come into our farm that I don't know. And I'm like, it's not hanging out with Derek. It's not hanging out with Zach, Anthony, Radulovich, and my, Romberg and Barge and shit like that. There's going to be motherfuckers in there that I don't know. For the most part, and I don't know whether you agree with this or not, I have made some really good friends and met a lot of good people that have come to our farm to shoot. And you like those. You genuinely like those people.
Absolutely.
And that's why you're like, I don't want to let them down.
That's the only reason you keep doing it.
Yeah, because I don't want to let the Ed Calman's down here all the time, And
I've got my local group of guys that I respect a lot, that I, over the years, really got to like, and who I would consider friends. And those are the people that I want to have come to the club, because I know they're going to come with the right attitude. And 99% of the people are good people.
I agree, 99%, and we focus on the
one. You're right.
Because it hurts us, because it bothers us, because we spent all week in the sun, in the rain, in the bullshit, setting something up, and then when somebody like steps on your dick and hurts you, you're like, God damn, man.
But I don't want it to sound, I know you're the same way, I don't want it to sound like I need that praise or I need that acknowledgement of hey, this is great.
I want to be
Because
appreciated.
for me, if I don't hear anything, I know it was good, and I don't have to talk to anybody.
Well, I mean, that was the thing. Is like, we're hustling our ass off, and like I said,
you're going to know if the course is bad. You're going to know if someone didn't like it.
And
You're going to know. But if you don't hear anything, then you know it was good.
well, I mean, and they say the straw man argument. Every once in a while I listen to Shotgun World, just look in there to see what those,
God bless you.
God bless you. It's a great thing. But you do the straw man argument. They say, oh, Gary's doing a straw man argument. No, actually, I just don't name names because I don't want a fist fight in my parking lot because I called somebody out. The two guys that actually say that, what's funny about that Shotgun World segue here, and we'll go Shotgun World segue here, is one of the guys that's actually bashing me on that was a guy who was a moderator on clay shooting.
Nice.
And he was always exerting his authority as like, I am a moderator here. We made a quick vote, consensus, and we said, all right, we're kicking this guy off as a moderator.
Doesn't that page have like 50 moderators on it?
I think it's got a lot. Well, we had one guy in there who's been shooting for about 9 years, and he apparently became very enamored with his knowledge of the game. And we made a vote. Do we kick this shit out guy as a moderator? So we kicked him off as a moderator, and he lost his shit like a 16-year-old girl when
He's been in this game for 9 years.
Yeah, 9 years.
You did that to him?
Yeah, and I want to call him out a little bit, but the straw man argument. But anyway, he got all upset.
He knows who he is.
He knows who he is. And it was really upset because it was like, oh my God, he was a junior high girl whose boyfriend left him for Sally Jane, whatever her name was, that got her boobs early. And he's all upset about that. I'm like, well, we kicked you off because you didn't really know what you were talking about. And then they flame me on Shotgun World, which is great. But
there's only one reason I go to that page.
Comedy.
It's
fucking comedy.
I go to get a laugh and to see who said what.
And it's just a straw man argument. No, I don't name people from this shit because I don't want to be sued. I'm 43 years old.
It's because they can't handle it.
Well, I mean, it's kind of one of those things is like you're calling me out on a straw man argument when you have a stupid ass handle of, Clay Spooger 69. I'm like, no, man, if you really want to talk shit, well, let's man up on Facebook. But yeah, this one guy was, whatever, and he got kicked off because, well, obviously we didn't think he knew shit. But moving on, let's kind of get off of this David Niederer rant. That was a mark. You've been in this shit for a while, and we're at 46 minutes, so we got about 30 minutes longer before I cut you off. Looking back, what are some of the things? There's a question I'm going to ask everybody.
Oh God.
What is the best thing the NSCA's done, the success, and what is the failure of the NSCA?
All right.
Here we go, David.
I'm going to hand it over to Miriam.
Pussy. I'm getting hungry, Miriam, so I think we need to eat dinner here in a little bit.
We only got 30 minutes.
We got as much time as you want. I don't give a shit. I have the microphone. I make the fucking rules here. So what do you feel the NSCA has done right? Because everybody wants to vilify them. And what is something they've done wrong?
I'll say this right now. The NSCA is the place you go to shoot tournaments, to be scored, to have a record. It's a place where clubs can go to host a shoot, to have a sanctioned event, to bring shooters to their club. That's what it benefits of us. At Fossil Point, once a month we have a shoot. We get 120 people to come out that we don't have come out otherwise, and so. That's the benefit that I see with NSCA. That's the benefit I think is probably their greatest attribute, as far as just keeping tournaments organized, giving people an outlet to go and get involved in the competition part of sporting clays.
They built this game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is, it started with USSCA and NSCA and
Bob Davis out of Houston.
And they're the ones that survived through it. And that's, if you want to shoot sporting clays in a way that's sanctioned, that's scored, that you have record and history with, that you can excel in, get points and awards, be recognized on a team, NSCA is where you go.
And where are they fucked up?
What I didn't mention?
I mean, seriously. I mean, this is. I mean, where have they screwed up over the years with our game?
I think that NSCA is mostly directionless. That they don't have an outlook to say, here's our 5-year plan, here's our 10-year plan, here's what our goals are. I've been in part of the AC, just like you, just like a lot of our friends have been. There's still a lot of our friends on the AC. That's the advisory council with the NSCA that are involved. And you know,
I was on the executive council, by the way, too.
Were you?
I'm just this level up here.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah, man, that's why I'm got the microphone. Sorry to fuck with you a little bit, but you're making a good point, David.
So, you know, having been involved and kind of seen from the inside, that's why there's always discussion about punches, class rankings. You know, what is a tournament? What is nationals? There's a discussion right now going on about how are we going to change nationals? How are we going to make it more of a competition for like a finale type shoot for our top competitors?
It needs to be it needs to be the money shot of the year.
I agree. But NSCA is in the mindset of volume. That's how they make their money. So they're trying to grow the sport, which has been not very successful. And I think that's a lot of times that's mostly due to a lack of direction.
Yeah, I mean, we have to define our goals. I mean, everybody wants to make him a villain. I don't see him as a villain.
I don't either, because I benefit from them.
I benefit from them too. If it wasn't for the NSCA, we wouldn't have sporting clays.
I will say this: they have almost zero club outreach.
True,
unless you're going to be bidding for a regional or major competition.
Which, let's go into that real quick. We've addressed that. We no point in getting deeper into it because everybody will get into deep this one. Let's talk about these giant shoots we've come into, and this is coming into the regional or the TSCA.
Yeah.
So Texas State Shoot is a monster. You and I have actually been part of it.
Yeah.
Different levels. Mm-hmm. Set the motherfucker.
I've hosted one.
You've hosted one. Once again, going back to the numbers are the key. Where do we stop on trying to put events? Once again, here we go. Let's talk about we've got time. Fuck it. We can edit this motherfucker. Edit that shit out, by the way, Justin. Let's go to what's involved with putting on a major shoot. We've got a mindset. Volume is key. Volume is success. We go into adding events in hopes of creating a successful shoot. We're afraid that we're going to lose 50 guys if we don't have 22 shot shell FITAS super sporting over here.
Yeah, right.
Economically, business sense, because that's what we're talking about right now. We're not we're going past, because while it's someone else's recreation,
right,
it is our economical whatever, you know.
So before we get into that, you know, I hear some of the old timers talk about state shoots from before.
Yeah.
And they don't talk about how many people were there. They don't talk about who won. They talk about everyone getting drunk under the big tree.
Having a good fucking time.
That's what they talk about. So our shoots now are gauged on number of events, how many targets you can shoot, and how many people you have. Now, if you don't have a 410 50 bird fee task, you're not going to lose 20 shooters. You're just going to have 20 less entries. You know, they're going to be shooting other stuff. You're not going to lose those shooters.
100%.
But then their argument is, well, you already have it set up for a 28 gauge, just overlay it for a 410.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, why do I have a 28 gauge fee task?
Why?
It's because 5 people requested that we have a 28 gauge fee task. So now we have to have a whole separate layout, more refs, more machines, more space, because 5 people wanted that, which got another 15 people to shoot it. So now you still only have 20 shooters shooting 28 gauge fee tasks.
100%. Because here's the issue with this one. Most people come to a club, come to shoot, whether it be Texas State, whether it be whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever the event, you show up on a Thursday or Friday, you shoot and you leave Sunday. That's all you know of what went on.
Right.
If we did our job, no one saw a problem. No one saw the drama. No one saw any of the chaos behind the scenes.
And no one's going to go talking shit for the next 3 years about how you didn't have a sub gauge, super sport.
But you and I, amongst everybody else, gets caught up in this attitude of, well, we need to have a sub gauge, whatever the hell it is, in order to bring this, well, first of all, if you're not showing up at my shoot because I don't have sub gauge 28 gauge, no, that's false economy. That's not an appropriate outset. But we all get caught up. You, me,
Yep.
Everybody tries to throw all this fucking events to all these people.
Yep.
And then we say, well, shit, we had 200 shooters, but only 60 of them come to our banquet. They're tired. They're shot out, man.
What happens, and you see it at nationals, what happens is you cram so many things into one fixed space that you ruin quality on the other
quantity.
events.
Yeah.
So through quantity, you ruin your quality. I was setting up to host the state shoot again in 2020, and I laid everything out, and it was required that I was going to have to add more events of these sub gauge bullshit events.
Yeah.
And I was going to have to add them regardless, because that's what the TSCA mandated for me. And I don't want to get too far into this, but
go ahead. We're going to get too far into this, motherfucker.
But in order to do that, it was going to affect the other courses to where I couldn't use the best spots for my station.
You're jamming so much shit.
Everything's squeezed in together. The targets are going to suck because my holes are going to be so small.
Yeah. 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag.
Need to mark that.
I mean, it's 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag.
Right.
That's all it is.
And so, that's the problem with jamming so many things into one piece of property. And you see that at nationals. Everyone always complains nationals targets are always the same.
Shitty quarter angle bullshit.
Quartering angle, because they have to load the machines and they only have so much space to put 1,500 stations.
Well, I mean, okay, so here we go. For the folks that weren't part of this shit a long time ago, we go to 1996 and then 2000 and, gosh, I can't remember the year. They threw badass targets. It hurt egos, and they sent out an apology letter. 100%. They sent an apology letter out. What the sorry we challenged you.
That's because a recreational shooter who shot a 61 judged the targets based off of his score.
Well,
and he was the loudest griper, and they bowed down to it.
And we're stupid for complaining about it, even though we understand the fallacy of what they're doing. And this is like
So what are your thoughts on setting targets for the masses? So set the targets for those who pay the bills, right? You hear that argument?
So yeah, set the targets for the guys paying the bills.
Yeah.
And as we keep going down that road, we will lose.
Well, that's a bullshit argument to start with.
Bullshit. Harrison Bergeron by Kurt Vonnegut. Read that shit. It will be applicable. Harrison Bergeron, Kurt Vonnegut from the Monkey House. Read that shit. This is, yes, this is entertainment.
Yeah.
my opinion, and you were part of the last two coon packers. By the way, David Niederer won the first coon packer with a pump gun.
Why wasn't that mentioned in my intro?
Nobody gives a shit.
Hey, I was.
Miriam, quit laughing. I mean, the best trophy you ever got is sitting over there in that chair. So just back off.
That's true.
See how I worked that in, Miriam? I'm smooth with a V. But anyway, so where we at?
I'm watching your cats hump out the window. That's where we're at.
Cats are fucking with your car. But anyway, regardless of what it is, and we can fight against it all we want, we can't change the mindset of the average person. Well, this podcast is kind of letting them know that, like, hey, man, give us a break. We're trying. This is a competition sport to begin with. And you guys gotta quit. And this what's it, Walmart guarantee and adding all these events for these shoots are absolutely crazy. For us, it cuts our, I mean, I understand this is your recreation.
Yeah.
But these clubs have to make money because eventually these clubs say, fuck it.
Right.
And they start doing corporate shoots.
Right. So then play devil's advocate. Why not just throw a hoop out and have a 20 gauge course?
Yeah. Or why don't you just say, fuck it and do a corporate shit? You're in Texas, man. You could do corporate shoots every week.
And we do. We do corporate shoots every week.
I've started doing more corporate shoots. They show up, they shoot in 2 hours, they don't bitch, they pay your money and they leave.
And they leave, yeah. And they're happy.
Brass door caters their dinner for them.
And they don't say anything about the targets.
No.
They don't care. They're just there to pay their $100, have a raffle, have a lunch.
Yeah, and they pay me $40.
They go home and go to the baseball game in the afternoon and they're happy.
Going back to that one, they pay me $40 for 100. Once again, been at this shit for 30 fucking years. When we started shooting, I think a round of sporting clays was around $20-$25. That's 1992, 93. What has happened with us keeping the costs of ignoring inflation? What have we done to ourselves?
I don't think there's enough people with who are shooting right now that could support a club if they charge what it really takes to make money at it.
And that's not a good thing. So going to that segue of the market will not support the inflation, or, I mean, like I said, dude, Jesus Christ, man, we've been playing $5 for double A's forever. We're now paying what, $7 or $8.
Yeah, over $8.
That's, if you have an inflation calculator on your smartphone, you need to Google that shit. But anyway, so.
Well, I'll say this, like one of the problems with tournaments now anyway is that the people already think that gun clubs are making a killing on their one-day shoot that they're charging $75. So why am I going to go pay $75 for a weekend tournament when I can go on the Wednesday and just pay $45? I think a lot of shooters and competitors don't know the costs that go into gun clubs, go into shoots, just setting up for a one-day shoot. There's a lot of extras that go in that have to be accounted for. And so at the end of the day, the club's still they're still only making $45.
Yeah. When it comes down to, we sell our monthly membership or we don't do a membership fee. We do a block of targets. Yeah. It's 1,100 targets for $375, so we're down around 34, which is too cheap.
That's too cheap. That's a steal.
I keep it at that price, so if I happen to have a few traps that don't work, deal with it.
Move on. Yeah.
Move on.
And I haven't raised my sporting costs through 2020. I didn't raise my costs. Right now we're still at the same cost we were in 2019, because, there's other competition that I gotta, consider in our area. There's, everyone's going up on their prices, but
we have to.
But at the same time, it's like, I don't want to deal with the griping. I don't want to deal with the griping of the guy who's driving the $20,000 Polaris shooting the $16,000 gun, griping that now he's paying $2 more for his targets. You know what I mean?
But then again, you have to go in the mindset of these shooters. They love it. All right. They love to shoot. This is their recreation, and they want to do it as much as they humanly can afford to do it. That's not my problem, but you have to understand, I'm trying to play both sides of this shit. They don't want to shoot less, because they've only got so much money that they're allowed to spend.
Right. Sure.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
But I don't owe you. You don't owe you. Rick Hemingway, Brett, all these guys involved doesn't owe you your recreation.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, I said earlier, this is a game that doesn't have a lot of barriers of entry, but at the same time, it kind of does. And because,
expensive fucking game, man.
Well, yeah, it's expensive.
I shoot pigeons, man. This shit's cheap.
It's expensive because it's relies on consumables. We consume the ammo, we consume the targets. It's not like a little kid with the basketball. He can go outside and play to his heart's content. No. Golfers, you go to the driving range, hit all the balls you want.
All the balls you want.
It's not going to cost you a lot of money. But with shooting, that's the pretty much the only barrier of entry is just cost.
It's an expensive game. You're dumping at least $80 a fucking round on ammo.
Yeah.
And then the second you raise your cost, you're the devil.
Right.
I'm sorry, man. I mean, like it's we're paying $11 an hour for our kids up here to help me. You've got a hell of a lot more costs than I do. So with that segue, where do you see shooting in 7 years?
I don't know. It's hard to tell. I think, this ammo thing, we'll get past this. I'm not worried too much about that. But as far as where our sport is, honestly, if it's anything like the last 7 years, we're going to be exactly in the same spot. It won't be anything different.
I mean, and that's the biggest problem with shooting game. A shooting game has always been expensive.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that kicks you in the balls, or they kick you in the balls, I get it. You love it. You love shooting, man. I can't subsidize your shooting. And I feel like a lot of guys think that they should. It can't be affordable. It's not an affordable game. It's an expensive game.
It is. It is. And it's expensive for the clubs to run their clubs, to host a shoot. Shooters will go to a big shoot and see 500 people there, and they go, well, I paid $500. There's 500 people here. The club made $250,000 this week.
No.
Well, no, they didn't. That was over a year's worth of work that club did. There was at least $150,000 of expenses. There's going to be another $100,000 of expenses when the shoot's over with.
At least.
Shit,
you forget.
And so the club, they did it because they wanted to.
Well,
they're not making a ton of money.
Well, let's go into your 2020 TSCA bullshit. You were telling me on the phone that they kept stacking events on you
right
after the fact. I'm getting the evil eye from Miriam here. I'm telling the truth. I always tell the truth, Miriam, except when I'm lying to a woman. But anyway. So that being said, when we went into this earlier.
Yeah.
And Justin can edit this however he wants to edit it. When they start stacking events on you, those events cost money.
Yep.
There's a period of time, or there's a number of shooters that after this point of number of shooters, it is now profitable.
Correct.
If you're forcing a club to rely on sponsor money
yep.
to make a profit, bullshit. Mm-hmm. We got to quit.
Yeah.
We have to
I agree.
quit.
I agree. When I've hosted our big shoots, my goal is to get enough sponsor money to cover the guaranteed prize money.
Yeah.
So if I got $40,000 of guaranteed prize money, I need to get $40,000 sponsorship. And I'm talking about cash. I'm not talking about,
goods and services
or giveaway stuff for raffles, for drawings. I'm talking about cash. And so that's the only way that makes sense for us, because, think about it. You got $40,000 of guaranteed money, which is pretty common for the big shoots. That you have 400 shooters. That's $100 a person coming out of their entry to cover that guaranteed prize money.
Yeah. And not getting off on a tangent or stuff like that.
No.
What David and I are talking about, and the whole position of this podcast, is to give a human element. I've always thought that if you can see the other guy's side of the story, maybe you wouldn't judge as hard.
Sure.
So,
going to the TSCA State Shoot 2020 stuff, there was really a few factors that played into that. Not just one. One of them was the sponsor money. TSCA and their rights and their standard and their agreement and their documents, they reserve the right to solicit and keep the main event sponsor money. I asked if I could also sell an equally an equal position sponsorship, and they said no. I asked if the sponsor money that they were going to collect would go directly toward, would go to supplement or enhance the shoot, and they said no, is only purely to go to cover their obligated expenses. Okay, so it wasn't really going to benefit the shoot other than just pay for what TSCA was already going to pay for anyway.
Yeah. So
that was one thing. The other thing was the dates. We had a new president at the time. It kind of goes back a ways, but the TSCA was trying to standardize their shoot in a way that it was marked on the calendar every year. Just like, U.S. Open is going to be first part of June into May.
Wisconsin State Shoot was traditionally like the first or second week of August, and I remember that because that was when my first failed marriage happened.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
Yeah, Wisconsin's a beautiful place to.
Got to get the first marriage out of the way, and then get serious about the rest. Yeah. Go ahead on your manifesto, David.
Yeah, here, page 7.
Page 7, the midget that pissed me off at Popeyes.
Yeah, so
why my father never loved me.
Why I came to FLC, I don't know.
Because you have no friends.
Can't wait to get back to Texas.
Why? To have more people that hate you? It's okay, David. Here, want a Kleenex?
I think it's been an hour now.
I think it's been an hour, but wrapping up, I think we've covered a lot of shit. Probably ran on too much. Justin can edit it all he wants to fucking do. I don't give a shit. We covered a lot of stuff. Gun club owners' perspective. It's one of those things that there's a lot of layers of the shit.
There is.
Shut up, David. I'm talking. But I'm the talent.
I want the final word.
I'm the talent here. But anyway, go ahead, David.
I have nothing else.
I have nothing else. But I mean, when it comes down to this shit, we are trying. And then, here, let's put this in perspective. You and I try, and it pisses us off when we get hammered. So this is the closing statement of this one. You and I try. I think it's what pisses us off is when the clubs that don't try get the same billing as us. Because there are clubs out there that put the minimal fucking effort in. Of course, that maybe they're smarter than us. But, I mean, we all went to a certain U.S. Open. We saw that, And I'm sorry. You and I was it me, Tommy, Rollins, got lambasted on a very famous video for criticizing a complete disaster.
Correct.
But in this game, regardless of the quality of shoot, there's always somebody that sees it as a home club shoot and will see it, as rose-colored glasses. I've been around a few years. you know a shitty shoot when it run, and you know minimal fucking effort when it's done. But it's very funny, and of course it hurts us because we work our ass off. Miriam works her ass off. I mean, clearly she could have done better marrying you. There was apparently there wasn't a lot of options in Decatur, Texas.
Love is blind.
Love is blind, so on and so forth. Busting your balls, but you and I both give a shit. We're trying our ass off to give you a good experience. And I think what pisses us off is when we get lambasted on that, and when people that are patronize just a fucking disaster of a shoot. It's a shitty fucking U.S. Open.
Yep. It works the other way too. You can have a home run of a shoot and someone's going to gripe and bitch about something.
There's always some unhappy bastard out there who just hates his life, but bought a 34-inch Perazzi and can't reach the trigger anymore to end it. And so they, instead of like swallowing that 7.5, that ounce and 8 of 7.5, they make our lives freaking hell.
Right.
But then again, it's the lot in life we chose. So David, I really appreciate you coming up. You guys want sushi or pork chops? Because I'm hungry.
Let's do pork chops.
Pork chops?
Let's go to Brass Door.
Let's go to Brass Door. Marion, Brass Door or sushi? All right, you're the pretty one, so you make decisions. All right, well, Justin's going to have to work his ass off to...
It's a tricky one.
This is a tricky motherfucker to edit because I hit the stop button, and once again, I've told Justin that I'm really bad at fucking electronics. So I thank you for your time. I think we covered a lot of shit. We didn't get into the internet stuff, but there's no point. I hope...
For another time, man.
This is for another time. I hope people listen to our shit. Understand that we're trying. That's the thing, is you're trying.
Yeah, absolutely. Every day.
It's like we're trying our ass off to give you a good job. We're not we're not half-assing this shit. And once you care, that's the biggest thing, is once you care, it fucking hurts, man, when somebody hammers you. Oh my God, I missed this target. Well, fuck you, man. You suck.
It's true. It's true, and they just don't know it's true.
I mean, you drug that freaking gun through that target line like a Neanderthal dragging a club, but somehow you haven't worked at it, but yet it is my fault.
I want to talk about follow through next time.
You follow through Instagram, Facebook, all the shit that whatever where we lurk. So, all right, guys, thank you for listening to the pod. I hope it made sense. I hope you guys like this. I'm hungry. I'm going to eat pork chops. Later.